You ever wake up thinking the weirdest thing that's going to happen that day is your coffee machine sputtering out on you, only to end up with 3 cop cars outside your house? Oh, because you changed your Wi-Fi password? Yeah, that's not a joke. Go ahead and laugh, but that was me, Paul King, systems engineer, king of minding his own business, living in a neighborhood where you'd think the biggest crime was a crooked mailbox or a rogue lawn flamingo. But no, I got raided by the police for locking down my own internet. And buddy, if you think that's wild, wait till you hear the rest. So picture this. It's a regular Tuesday, sunlight bouncing off those perfect little white fences in Lakeside Grove. I'd only been there a year, but already felt like home, the kind of place where the air smells like cut grass and the sunset hits the lake just right, making everything look like it was dipped in gold. For a tech guy like me, the cherry on top was the rock-solid fiber internet. I figured if I stayed out of drama, kept my head down, I'd be fine. You know how folks always say, don't poke the bear? Well, turns out my bear lived 2 doors down, and she wore a pearl necklace so tight, I swear it was cutting off her circulation. Ella Thomas, HOA president, clipboard aficionado, and the unofficial queen of suburban misery. At first, Ella was just good for a laugh, marching around with that binder, measuring people's grass, snapping pictures of recycling bins, sending out warning letters if your garden hose wasn't coiled in a perfect spiral. Everyone just sort of went along, rolled their eyes behind her back, figured she'd get bored eventually. I tried being polite, wave, smile, act like I didn't hear her muttering every time she spotted my solar panels. But Ella, she had a sixth sense for control. First strike, my mailbox flag wasn't regulation red. Next up, my solar panels were unapproved, even though they had a fat state subsidy sticker right on them. I fired back a very civil email, and, to my surprise, she let it go, but I could feel her seething. That's the thing about people like Ella. Losing is not on their list of hobbies. For a while, I thought, okay, she'll move on. But one random morning, my Wi-Fi starts acting up. Drops every 5 minutes. Me being the nerd I am, run a network scan, boom, there it is, a weird device on my logs. Lakeside HOA network. At first, I think maybe someone's kid is trying to get free internet, but the more I dig, the more I realize someone's leeching off my bandwidth, and not just a little. We're talking hundreds of megabytes every day. Netflix binges? Online gaming? No, this was straight up data transfer. So I do what anyone would do, change my Wi-Fi password. But because I can't resist poking the bear just a little, I renamed the network No More Free Wi-Fi. By noon, guess who's pounding on my door like the world's about to end? Ella, red in the face, binder shaking like she's about to use it as a weapon. Mr. King, what have you done to the community network? She barks like I just cut the brakes on the school bus. She's so furious, she's practically foaming at the mouth, and apparently, by changing my Wi-Fi password, I've disabled the neighborhood's entire security camera grid. Because, get this, the HOA was piggybacking on residents' private internet for their surveillance feeds. Hidden in some dusty bylaw, apparently every home is supposed to contribute Wi-Fi for the greater good. Now, I try to stay calm. Ella, my internet is not public property. You can't just hijack it for your cameras. She's not hearing it. Next thing I know, she's calling the police right there on my porch, yelling about digital interference, federal violations, and how I've endangered public safety. I'm cracking up until I see the red and blue lights, and then half the neighborhood starts popping out with their phones out like it's the 4th of July parade. The cops roll up, one older guy who looks like he's seen it all, and a rookie who's barely hiding his smirk. Ella launches into a full-on speech about community security, how my Wi-Fi is basically the backbone of all that is good and pure in Lakeside Grove. The old cop squints at her, then at me, and finally says, "So, you're saying everyone uses his Wi-Fi?" Ella stammers, "Well, it's a community arrangement." I just cross my arms and go, "No, it's called stealing." Even the rookie's biting his lip, trying not to laugh. They ask if they can check my router. "Sure, come on in." I show them the admin panel. There it is, Lakeside HOA main cam server, still trying to connect, failing again and again. See? That's what I'm trying to stop. The older cop's face goes from bored to suddenly very interested. He asks if I'll come with them to the HOA clubhouse to clear things up. Absolutely. I say because I know something's off here. Out in the driveway, Ella's now pacing in front of the neighbors, shouting that I'm sabotaging the neighborhood, endangering children, you name it. She tries to block the entrance to the clubhouse, raving about HOA sovereignty and demanding a board-approved warrant. The cop just radios for backup. An hour later, it's a full scene, squad cars, a county cybercrimes agent, neighbors streaming live on their phones. My next-door neighbor, Janet, she films everything, already has a Facebook Live going. The comments are blowing up. Inside the clubhouse, they find a locked office. When the door swings open, I swear my jaw hit the floor. Racks of servers, screens everywhere, cables running every which way, like some bad spy movie. Feeds from every corner, driveways, porches, even someone's kitchen. There's my backyard, zoomed in like a nature documentary, and I see my old dog scratching himself in 4K. The cybercrimes agent, this guy Rowe, just mutters, "This is nuts." Ella's gone ghost white, insisting it's all for safety, but the logs say otherwise. Unauthorized access, attempted logins from the clubhouse, everything routed through. You guessed it, my Wi-Fi. That afternoon, the story blows up. News vans in the street. Ella gets led away in cuffs, still shrieking about how she was just protecting the neighborhood. Neighbors are stunned, some mad, some apologizing for ever doubting me. The police box up all the hard drives. Janet's stream goes viral. And by dinner, some stranger at the grocery store calls me the Wi-Fi hero. Never thought I'd get famous over a password change, but here we are. Next morning, the county cybercrimes folks show up at my door again. They need a full statement. Turns out, Ella's been running this show for months, piggybacking on private networks, archiving hours of footage, even cataloging files by address and rule violation. Some of the footage is from interior cameras, baby monitors, smart speakers, stuff people never agree to share. The neighborhood loses its collective mind. The HOA board resigns in shame. Tom Garcia, the vice president, asked me to help rebuild as a tech advisor, make sure nothing like this ever happens again. I only agree if we ban shared networks forever. Bylaws get rewritten, every surveillance camera reinstalled with written consent, and, just for the laughs, we rename the Wi-Fi HOA Spy-Free Zone. Suddenly, people start coming to meetings, but this time to help, not out of fear. Even Mark, the guy Ella fined for growing tomatoes, brings me a basket of his best as a peace offering. Just when I think it's all over, a subpoena lands on my doorstep. Ella's hired a big-name lawyer and is appealing, claiming she's the real victim, that I destroyed her reputation. Court is a circus. Her lawyer paints me as a publicity hound, but the evidence is ironclad. Cloud logs, emails where she calls residents idiots who don't know they're on camera. The jury doesn't even need an hour. Guilty. She gets probation, community service, and a permanent ban from any HOA board, ever. Tom hands me the new bylaws, fresh from the judge. It's official, he says. No more secrets, full transparency. Nobody gets spied on again. I shake his hand and laugh. All because of a Wi-Fi password. Things settle down after that. Lakeside Grove starts feeling like a real community. Neighbors waving for real, porch lights warm, not blinking like surveillance drones. The clubhouse turns into a genuine hangout. Coffee mornings, book clubs. Janet's now running a little YouTube channel for neighborhood announcements. One morning, Ella shows up, thinner and quieter, just to drop off her keys and a note. Turns out I was just protecting my own power. First honest thing I ever heard from her. She moves out. Rumor is she found a new home in Arizona. No HOA this time. Gotta love the irony. And just when you think life's finally chill, another letter slips under my door. Ella, trying to sue for defamation, says I ruined her name. We end up back in court, but this time the judge is done with the drama. Verdict. Not only does she lose, she gets a restraining order. Can't come within a mile of Lakeside Grove for 5 years. Now, when I walk the lake with my coffee, all I hear are kids laughing, ducks quacking, neighbors waving, nobody hiding behind curtains. Every Saturday, I stroll slow, talk tech upgrades with Tom, maybe watch a few stubborn ducks fight over a crust of bread. Agent Rowe texted me after the dust settled. Congrats, you made privacy cool again. I'll take it. So here's the deal. If you've made it this far, let me give you my 2 cents. Sometimes it's the smallest things, a password, a question, a hey, is that right? That show you who's really running the show. Power hides in the little stuff like a bylaw, a handshake, a login screen. But stand up for your privacy, refuse to back down, and you can change everything, even if it's just your own street. And now I want to hear from you. Ever go toe-to-toe with a control freak, a power-mad neighbor, or an HOA with more cameras than sense? Drop your story below. Let's see just how wild these neighborhoods can get. And if you care about privacy, justice, or just want to vent about HOA nonsense, hit the comments because you're not alone. Trust me, around here, there's always another story waiting just beyond the next password.